Well, here we are, episode 7 of the podcast that's becoming known as Chatter. The podcast that we initially started off saying it wasn't a podcast, but I think that's what we're calling it.
We're leaning in.
We're leaning in. Yep.
Yeah.
Exciting guest that Tamara's about to introduce here. In the story of Mic'd Up, we consider this individual to be one of the more important people actually in our journey. And I won't... and we'll explain why, but I'll let Tamara do the intro because amongst many things, I believe we also have an accomplished official here with us.
Yeah, awesome. So guys, I'm here to introduce Emanuel. Emanuel brings more than 25 years of experience as a basketball official at the high school and junior college levels. He has worked with high school playoff games since 2004. Including 2 championship finals in 2007 and again in 2025, and has been selected to officiate in the California State High School playoffs since 2013. A former player whose college career was cut short by a car accident, Emanuel turned to officiating to stay connected to the game he loves. Known for his calm demeanor and strong command of the rules, he thrives in the high-energy environment of basketball while staying focused and composed. For Emanuel, officiating is about more than enforcing rules. It's about contributing to the game and mentoring the next generation of officials. Amazing, Emanuel. We are so excited to have you on.
Excited to be here. I'm looking forward to this. When March rolled around, I'm like, okay, 11 days, I get to be on Mic'd Up, or with the podcast that you called, what'd you call it now? Stride or Chatter?
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to this.
Good.
Chatter is kind of like a code name for us, Emanuel. So the product Mic'd Up that you've used and one of our first customers. That's why you are one of the more important people in our journey. Like those first few people who are willing to say, yeah, I want to support you. They're so important to a business. And so thank you for being one of those people to us. But we call it Chatter because that was like our internal code name for the product for a long time. We just called it Chatter because the idea was we were trying to help facilitate people talking. So it was that simple. So we kind of adopted that for our podcast is why we call it Chatter.
Yeah, good deal.
Yeah. So Mark alluded to this earlier. Why, Emanuel, you are someone important to us is you didn't know this. I don't know if I told you this. You were our first individual customer using Mic'd Up 2.0, which is like you were the first one. So you are someone special to us, and your feedback and for me as a customer relations person, trying to get feedback from you and learning how you've experienced the product so we can improve it. That's why you are someone who we hold dear.
Excited because it was when I heard you on Crown Refs, I'm like, wow, that would be a cool tool to use to see how I am communicating with coaches and players. And when I got the mic'd up equipment, I tried it on the arm. It didn't work for me because I was like, appearance in me in my uniform, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to wear this on my arm. So I found a unique way. I'm going to ask you, does it hook? So I just use it on my undershirt, and I use a safety pin to pin it to my undershirt. So now it doesn't move. It catches everything, and nobody knows the difference. I usually tell them, hey, you guys, I might be, mic'd up here, there, but it's non-conspicuous. Nobody knows I'm really wearing anything because I'm talking all the time, and it just picks up everything. So I was just amazed how much I do talk.
I was going to ask that. Yeah.
No, keep going.
Yeah. I guess I want to go into get into why, how you started to ref and kind of that story, but maybe just keep going on this train of thought of, what were your biggest takeaways from using the product?
Biggest takeaways is one is I do talk a lot. Two, the language these players and coaches use, because sometimes when you're out there, I'm oblivious. But when I look at it, oh my God, there's an F-bomb. There's an F-bomb. But but they're saying it so low. It's like, okay, I'm not going to tee a coach for that because it's just me and them talking. So that's when I tell the coach, hey, coach, we got to watch our communication here. And that's when I've been going to the future games, and that's what I tell the coaches. Say, hey, coach, we're very approachable. We love to communicate with you when the time is appropriate, but we got to keep our communication professional, And they're like, okay, I got you. And if they do start to use the language that gets a little flowery or a little salty, I just remind them, hey, coach, let's keep our communications professional, and not kind of use that kind of language. And they kind of revert to back what we talked about in the pregame. I don't know.
Like you were talking about how you just became so much aware of the language that everybody else was using. It's funny, like yesterday I was reviewing some of our podcasts, and I had a similar experience. One of my goals today is not to use the word like. And
he's failed already. Everybody, he's failed.
One of our principles, though, with Mic'd Up is that literally we are all not as good as we think at realizing how we show up and the language that we're actually using. And unless you're very intentional about kind of looking for opportunities for review and for feedback, you're probably just going to always go back to your default, to how you've always done it. And like, I find it, I just said like, but I'm aware of it now, so I can try and catch it. I find it incredibly inspiring. I mean, you've been officiating since, forever, or for a long time, I should say. But, since 2004, an accomplished official, regularly selected to state playoffs. You're still out there looking for ways to get better.
Yeah.
I find that cool. What is it about? What keeps you energized? Like after this much time in the game, what leaves you still striving for excellence, still striving to get those selections? Like what is it that kind of makes you love officiating?
That's a great question. I played it as a kid and I love it. And it drives my wife's nuts when I watch basketball games because I'm always got the remote in my hand. When a call happens or when something happens, let me rewind it and just slow it down and see exactly what's going on. When I started, all of this video stuff was not there. All of this communication stuff was not there. This was, pre-iPhone and everybody videoing everything. And that what made me, once everybody's got a camera in their hand, everything is being videotaped. And I understood that if I'm going to be the best I can be, I'm going to be held accountable, because if I do something that is not correct, there's going to be video of it. And that's what I always tell my crews. Hey, remember, somebody's always videoing the game, videotaping the game. And that's how I run my game. I don't want to say anything that can be misconstrued. I don't want to say something that a coach can take back to my assigner saying, hey, this is what he said. I don't want my crew in that position. So I always stress professionalism. There's times we're gonna lose our cool, but I always let my officials know, hey, just be where your feet are. Be present. If you're in the front court, that's where you are. If you're in the opposite end of the court, that's where you are. Next play mentality. I always say, if something happened, hey, next play. Forget about it. We can't do anything about it. Let's get to the next play. Because the next play mentality gets us focused on getting us set to go to that next play and ref it, versus being stuck 4 or 5 plays down or 4 or 5 plays back. All of a sudden, we miss the next 2 or 3 plays. So it's very, very important to be present, focused. I take things in 4-minute increments. Our quarters in high school are 4 minutes or 8 minutes. So every 4 minutes, I'd reset and say, okay, what happened that first 4 minutes? Everything good? Okay, let's get to the next 4 minutes and see if we can finish that next 4 minutes better than the first 4 minutes. So, and then that quarter, come together as a crew. Hey, great job. Hey, let's tighten this up. Get a little sloppy. Hey, the kids are getting a little rough. Let's just start analyzing what happened over the first 4 minutes to the second 4 minutes. Then that way we go into the next quarter, we got that next 4 minutes to try to tighten things up so that our games run smoothly. So I always tell the kids, hey, it's always about sportsmanship. So we're in the captain's meetings. I say, hey, well, we're just looking for 3 things. Sportsmanship all ties around respect the game, respect your opponent, and respect us. If we do those 3 things, we're going to have a great game. If we start going sideways a little bit, then, hey, I got to remind you of that sportsmanship. So that is what, over the years, that's what I've really been focusing on, this sportsmanship, because the kids nowadays they have AAU mentality. Sometimes they think they're talking to their coach when they're talking to me. I'm like, whoa, hey, that's step back. Remember, hey, I'm the referee. You guys are the players. I'm not your coach. So you can't talk to me that way. And I'll go to the coach and say, hey, your player number 3 is close to getting the technical foul if he continues to talk to our crew that way. And I'm not a big T person. I really want the coaches to handle their players. But if I tell the coach and the coach addresses it with the player, and the player decides that, okay, whatever, okay, then I gave you every opportunity to change your behavior. And if you don't want to change it, then I have a whistle, and I know what to do with it. So I'm not bigger than, I don't want to be noticed. I always call my crews, let's get in and get out and go home. I'm not here to be noticed. I'm not here to be liked. 50% is going to like my call, 50% is going to hate it. So I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to just administer the rules of the game. And that's what we need to be cognizant of, is not trying to let everybody know I got a great call, or I look cool in my uniform. No, people don't care. They don't care. They just want to make sure you get the calls right. We're human. Yeah. We're going to miss. We're going to make mistakes. But at the end of the day, they just want to know, hey, was the game fair? Did we do what we were supposed to do when we walked on the court? So.
It's a crew chief right there. I'll tell you.
Every time we talk to a referee that's been doing it for a while, I always walk away and with just a nugget, not just for officiating or sport, but for life. When Emanuel's like, when you were talking about being present, very relevant to officiating for obvious reasons, very relevant to life for obvious reasons. But I can think of the principle of being aware is powerful. We can't change behavior unless we're aware
of it.
But to go back to being, which helps us to be present, actually. I can think of literal examples on a Saturday afternoon when you're in game 2, 3, 4, and you look back at the last 4 minutes, and I can think of being like,
I'm not here.
I just ran up and down the court. I was not present. I was not in the moment. And it's impossible to do a good job in that state. How did you learn to do that? Was it just repetition, just sticking with it, just a commitment to trying to be present, or do you kind of have tricks? Or I suppose, how do you learn that?
Well, it's what you said. You said game 3 and game 4. That's where the issues are coming in, probably with you, is because I try not to do more than 2 games at a time, and take a break and go do another 2 games, because I don't want to rob the kids of me doing my third game. I'm looking at my watch. I'm ready to go. I'm hungry. Doggone it. I thought this game was going to be over. They're running behind. Now this game goes to overtime. Everything starts to just snowball. And now you're thinking about everything else versus the game. So if I can give any advice, everybody can do what they want. I mean, some people do 5, 6, 7 games on a weekend. That's fine. But I would suggest that you do them in 3-game increments, 2-game increments. If you have the time, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, take a break, or 8, 9, 10, take a break, then come back at 1, 2, 3. Just take a break. That way you give your mind a chance just to decompress. You can go to your car, listen to your music, do whatever you want, but you're not just doing one game after another, after another, after another. And by the time you get to game 4, he's like, I'm done. I'm done. And in your mind, you start thinking about what's going on in the stands. You know, like, I can't believe this kid can't shoot. You start thinking about all kind of goofy stuff. You know, I can't believe this mom, if they're telling me travel, she out like, here, take the whistle. You can come out here and do this. So all these things are creeping up in your mind, where if you're just fresher, those things wouldn't do that. But it happens when we do all these games on the weekend. It just happens, because that's why I don't do them anymore. Because no more than 3 games. If I go out on the weekend, I'll do 3 games. I'll say, hey, if I can get there in the morning, I'll do 3 in the morning. I'll do 3 in the afternoon. I need to have a break in between those games, because I want to give the kids the best effort. And it's not fair to them. They're playing hard. They're doing whatever they need to do. And a lot of times, if you just go watch officials, you'll know who officials who just got there, because they're doing. They're very to hustle. You know who the official has been there all day, because they're walking up and down the court. And that's not, to me, it's not fair. And I understand the money. Hey, I understand we're all trying to make money. But sometimes just step back and let's think about, yeah, the money is great, but am I giving the kids my best effort? So that's the only thing I would say to anybody who may listen to this, is that, hey, do the games, do them. But if you're going to take those 5 or 6 games in a row, just remember that those kids are walking on the court are looking for a referee or a crew of referees to do the best job, not just phone it in. So that's my main takeaway. Or how you said calm demeanor. It's just how when I started, I wasn't this calm. But I trained myself to, when coaches are yelling at me, I'll just listen and I'll just get lower. And I'll just stand right next to them. When they're yelling, I'll just like, Coach, I'm standing right here. You don't need to yell. I'll talk that low. I said, Coach, I'm standing right next to you. And I'm standing next to him. I'm not face to face. I'm side by side. I say, Coach, I'm standing right here. I'm listening to you, but you don't have to yell. What play do you have an issue with? What's going on? What do you need me for?
Talk to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just bring them down with my calmness and my voice tone. Well, and they'll go off on a tangent. I say, Coach, you have a play you want to discuss? If not, I need to move on. I'll just back away. Is there a specific play you want to discuss? Or if they're just here to rant, okay, I'll just move away. Then you have a specific play, Coach, then I'll discuss that. But I'm not here to hear just a bunch of randomness jibber jabber.
That is so powerful, because 1, the self-control, but 2, like, as I listened to that, I was like, how commanding and powerful is it?
Right.
To be able to stand there and with complete control and be like, Coach, you don't need to yell. I'm standing right here. And it's funny because
our instinct is to want to give the same energy back.
Where we're at, and we think that sometimes is where the power or the control is, or the quote unquote alpha. But like, I mean, that is like really taking control of the situation and leading, is by saying, no, I'm in complete control of myself. And I'm going to remind you so calmly, politely, yet directly that
you need to control yourself.
that would be almost jarring for me as a coach. If I was shouting at an official and he approached me like that, I'd be like, okay, I'm like what I'd think of as like I'm sorry, Mom. It's kind of like the first, yeah.
I say that because I also remind them what we talked about at the coaches when we talked to the coaches, we shook their hand. And when they start to yell, I said, Coach, you remember what we talked about professional communication? Remember what we talked about that when we met you at the coaches meeting? Hey, Coach, that's all I'm asking for. I understand your passion, or I'll say this really is a good one. Coach, I love your passion. I love your passion. But you don't need to yell at us. You don't need to yell at us. I give them a compliment, but also say, hey, coach, remember the professionalism we talked about. I love your passion. I dig it that you're fighting for your team, but we can't yell at each other. You have to say you have to coach, we have to ref. If you coach, we ref. Guess what? We're gonna have a good time. So, because I also say sometimes when they don't get it, I say, coach, and sometimes if I know the coach really well, I say, coach, I haven't called one play for you yet, but you have called travel, 3 seconds, foul 5 times. But I haven't called the play yet for you. When can I call 5 out? When can I call 5 out? I know the coach. When can I call? When can I call fist for you? I haven't called the play yet.
I would love to hear your audio, Emanuel.
Huh?
I would love to hear your audio. I'd love to hear your audio. Like I know there'd be some golden nuggets in there.
Well, yeah, we have one. My last game, I don't know if you ever get. We had a fight. I don't know if you want to hear that one. That was a bad one. So that was our junior college game. So that was. It was the game was great. We had some technicals. The kids were being a little knuckleheads. Last game, they wasn't going to state college, the junior college playoffs, and the team that won committed what we call a cardinal sin. The losing team scores with 4.9 seconds. They inbound the ball. Everybody's in the back court, except one kid on the winning team is in the front court.
Oh, no.
Going to him, and his bench jumps up and says, dunk it.
Dunk it. Yeah, of course.
I'm saying, please don't. I'm not mine. Please don't do this. Please don't do this. His bench jumps up. He dunks it. The kids on the other team pushing.
Yeah.
That's not we get those kids separated, but when everybody in the stands got involved, it was over. And we was like, we got to get out of here. So we had people from the stands came in, players from the bench came in, but the fans, where we couldn't control, that's when we said, we got to go.
Yeah.
It got so bad, they canceled the women's game. The women couldn't even play. It got that bad. So there are times you do everything in your power, and it's still out of your control. So that last sequence, I'm like, you can see me because I was the C. The trail, the new lead was down there. We were both looking at each other like, please don't do this. And then, it was on and cracking. It was on.
Why do you think, as people, sports is unique? I think we have a disproportionate reaction emotionally to sports, to like the actual importance. Like at the end of the day, we're playing a made up game, and I love sports. Like, don't get me wrong, I like love it as much as anybody. I have teams that I won't watch with other people because you know what I mean? Like I prefer to watch it alone. I get the emotional, I feel it myself, I suppose is what I'm saying. But the fascinating, over, this play at the end of the game, it's fascinating to me that people in the stands thought that, they probably didn't think, I suppose, but somehow this emotional logic roller coasters into, well, obviously I need to be on the floor right now trying to start a fight. Like that's the only honorable thing to do. How do you think we get there? Like why do we react that way as people? Is it?
Because I don't understand how people can go from a 0 to 100 in a blink of an eye. That's what we're telling each other in a post game. Is that these kids went from basketball players to heavyweight
street fighters,
just like that. And I could not believe how fast someone can go from one mentality to a street mentality. And it was, this is the one that my wife typically likes to go to games. I was glad she was not at this game because she was frightened, because it got scary. And I couldn't have gotten to her because we had to go one way and then she had to go outside into all this melee. So I
Wow.
was kind of glad that she did not come with me to this game. But to your point, I don't know. The kids today are different. When I played, I didn't want to fight anybody, because why would I do that? You know, I was always type of person. I played by the rules until you didn't play by the rules. If you elbow me, I'll say, okay, you got me, but I'm gonna get you back. I'm gonna get you back. I'm gonna get you back where I guess I had a basketball mind or a referee's mind, because I'm gonna get you in the force of play. I'm not gonna where everybody's gonna see you. When we're all on rebound, guess what I'm gonna do?
I'm grab a little jersey.
I'm clearing you out, and I'm gonna get you right where it hurts, right in that solar plex area. I'm just gonna pretend like I'm going for the ball and boom, and continue up with my motion. So I was very crafty. I love back in the day. We could chuck players coming through the key, which you can't. Now, freedom of movement was not a big thing. You're free to move. You're free to move, but you better have your head on the swivel because somebody's gonna hit you.
Someone's gonna pop you.
Well, they used to teach you to bump the cutter.
Yeah,
like
bump
that
the cutter,
was you always bump the cutter.
Yeah. When the cutters come through, give them boom. It was not foul then. It was no layup lines when I played. Coach would get hot if someone just rolled down the middle of the key. Like, why did you do something? Make him go to the free throw line. But these kids today, I don't know. I guess I don't know where they get it from. I didn't grow up that way. My dad always told me, hey, you play a sports for the enjoyment of it. Further on, great, but you're out here to have fun, gain valuable lessons, and play at a high level. My dad knew I was serious about basketball. He put a basketball court on the house. I'm always out there shooting. I was always a gym rat. I love to play. I love to play, and unfortunately, I couldn't grow to the height of my passion. I was always saying, like, man, if I was 6'6", Michael Jordan size, I would have been a terror. NBA. In a terror, because I was like, hey, I had no prisoner mentality. I said, you can't guard me. You can't do this with me. I'm just going to abuse you. I can't. You may have to edit that out. I'm gonna dominate you. I'm gonna dominate you on the court. And once I figured I wasn't gonna grow anymore, I'm like, okay, switch it up a little bit. I just let everybody else shoot. I just get the rebounds. Because half the people can shoot. I just go underneath the basket and just wait. Back up. That's it. So I have that Dennis Rodman mentality, Charles Oakley, Rick Mahorn. I'm going back in the day, that type of thing. That's when basketball was really special. Today's basketball, everybody shoots 3-pointers. Kids get rebounds underneath the basket versus putting the ball back up. They kick it out to the side point. It just drives me nuts on how basketball is played today.
That's going to be a hot take. That's going to be a clippable take, man. We're going to get some comments on that one.
I'm trying not to rant about the second leading scorer of all time now taking 22 threes and getting 48 free throws to get 83. Anyways, how on earth does... I agree. I agree with everything you just said. Yeah.
So with that in my group, with the Bam in my body, I didn't even know I said, Bam got 83. I'm like, what? Then I didn't pay any more attention to it. Then I was listening to a podcast, and they were going on about it. It's like, where's the NBA going with this? When someone who's averaging 16 points a game, all of a sudden
goes 83. Yeah.
80 goes crazy on an 83 game. So.
Yeah, it's not James Harden. But anyways, you obviously really had like a cerebral mentality to how you played basketball. You thought strategically. Do you think there's a connection to that and you, and enjoying officiating, or like, is that a component of officiating that you like? Is kind of, because it's an extremely cerebral component of the game, obviously.
Yeah, that's I love it, because when I am officiating, I catch myself when a player gets the ball, and I'm looking at like, and my mind says drive, drive, drive. I mean, the lane is wide open. So I see a lot of that. That's how I love officiating, because I can anticipate. We don't anticipate as an official, but I can see where the marginal contact or a legal contact is going to come from an offensive player or a defensive player. And by me moving and getting in the right position, I can officiate more effectively and not calling a lot of what we call that call the game.
Yeah.
And, you know, because you'll come out there, your partner's calling one thing, and like, oh, it's happened to me. There's times I'd like, and I typically know if I would just held my whistle, we could have had a play on versus an and one or a foul. And I'm really cognizant of the fact that I want to keep the stars in the game. What I mean by that is that I don't want to put marginal fouls on the competitive players.
Yeah,
now, when the starts come in, when I call the troublemakers come in, that's a different story. But the people who are coming, paying their money, is coming to see those kids who are those 5-star or 4-star recruits. And I tell my crew, I said, hey, let's make sure we don't protect stars, but we don't put, let me back up. One way to get a coach upset is to put marginal fouls on their superstars.
Yep.
I just say, hey, just if it's a foul, it's a foul.
Call it.
If the superstar player fouls, call it. I have an existence. We're referring the last year, the best team in the nation, Roosevelt High School. They were playing, and the kid's name was Miles. And Miles did something, and he raked the kid across behind and just raked him. Ball goes out of bounds. I call Miles over. I say, Miles, you're too important to this team to be doing dumb fouls like that. He just looked at me like, you're right. I said, don't put me in a position to have to call those kind of fouls.
Young officials, listen to this. Listen to this, because you're talking some like second level, third level type like stuff where that is the game management part of the game that you're talking about. And I'm curious, even just to back up a bit, like you alluded to not being on the same page with your partners. How can you speak to how you potentially bring your team back, your crew back together, or how do you deal with that, or have you dealt with it when you and your partners aren't on the same page?
Oh, I've dealt with it. I call them I call them rules guys.
Hey,
they know all the rules. Which is great. I love my rules guys.
We need them.
But they don't know the gray. That gray area, they know black and white. But this gray area is where we earn our money.
Hey.
It's where the best officials know how to deal in that gray. So if I'm a crew chief, if I'm not a crew chief, if the crew chief is not willing to address it, especially at quarters, I say, hey guys, we are having two different types of, we're not doing play recall. We're doing marginal stuff on one end and letting stuff go on the other. Okay, one coach is mirroring. And one coach is like, oh, okay, cool. You're going to be playing rough? So now the game has gotten lopsided. Yeah. So I would say, hey, in this quarter, let's just reset. Let's make sure we're calling the illegal contact. If we have a block charge on this end that's similar, on this end, let's call it. When the coach is saying, we call a charge on this end, then 2 minutes later, we call a block on this end on the same play. You know, if it's a 50-50, both are 50-50s. So now the coaches are like, okay, you guys are not consistent. So now that we're just trying to rein in the calls to be consistent. Now, we don't call a charge that's an obvious charge a block. If the kid's standing there, Statue of Liberty kid runs right through him, it's a charge. Everybody in the gym knows it's a charge. No coach in the gym is going to say anything. But when those 50-50 plays arise, let's try to be consistent. Hand checking at the top. I always tell my crew, hey, we're letting too much go. These kids are bumping too much. We're not calling. If you say hands, if he doesn't take his hands off, boop, it's a foul.
Yep.
Okay? But don't let the kid just ride the kid all the way to the basket. We don't call anything. Or bumping, or what we call RSBQ, rhythm, balance, speed. Yes.
Quickness.
If he takes him off of that, call the foul. They'll stop. Once they get 2 fouls, 3 fouls, they go to the bench. We've been taught, we talk too much sometimes. I'll try to give a precursor. Hands, easy. If they don't listen, then that's not my problem. We just call the foul, put the ball out of bounds, put the ball back in play. I say it so loud, the coaches hear me. And I've also heard, hey, he told you to get your hands off. So we have, as a crew, every time you're going to have some personality challenges. That's fine. But as a crew, nobody should have an ego. Our main job as a crew is to make sure this game runs smoothly. Everybody has a shot to win the game, and that the best team will win on that night, because the best team that night may be the team that's supposed to lose. So we just want to make sure we do our job. That way, when we look back on video, they can't say anything. Nobody can say anything.
How does this sit with you? This it's going to tie back to what we were just talking about, but a good call poorly explained can be more damaging than a bad call well explained. And the concept of managing the perception of fairness, I think is what it is. Because as you noted, like there's a ton of, let's call them 50-50 calls, or these calls that happen in the gray where there needs to be an interpretation of the rules. And no matter what you call, there will be a side that has an interpretation of unfairness likely. And so it's, one of the ways you manage that as an official is with your voice. And you were talking about that earlier, like some of that's with proactive communication or effective rules explanations. I suppose, like, first of all, do you agree kind of with that sentiment? And if so, what would your thoughts be?
Agree with this. Everything we talk we should not give random answers to players and coaches. Everything needs to be rule-based. Coach by rule. Coach by rule. Coach by rule. Coach by rule, he has to be legal guardian position. He was not in legal guardian position. They understand that. By rule, coach. You have to have, in California, in our area, we have landing fouls. If they come in and the three-point shooter, if he lands on his foot or any type of contact, hey, coach, by rule, you got to give the shooter an opportunity to land. Or box out. Coach, your player cannot be facing the person he's boxing out. You can't just be facing it. You have to be making a legitimate play at the ball. You can't just turn around and just take somebody out. So we use I wasn't expecting that.
Who phones anybody anymore?
I was going to say, whose ringer's on anymore? Whose ringer's on?
I know.
Does my mom have a phone number?
I don't expect nobody to come. I'm sorry. But that's the thing right there. It just basically everything is rule-based. Rule-based, rule-based, rule-based. poorly explained. That happened to me this year. I made a call that I just kicked it. It was an offensive foul from here to next week. I called block. And the coach, I'm walking over and I got to go report. The coach is looking at me like, what the hell was that? And I'm trying in my mind, how do I sell this?
Mm.
And I just said, and he's talking. He said, do you have a response? I said, no. I said, no. I said, Coach, you may be right. I said, Coach, I think I might have kicked that one. He said, thank you. I just walked off. Because I knew when they go look at it on film, it's an obvious charge. Obvious charge. And they were getting creamed. And they were getting creamed. And I was like, I watched that on film. I said, oh my gosh. But that's a learning experience. Even everybody messes up a call. So sometimes we just got to eat it. Sometimes we just got to take it from the coach. You know, I'm not to say anything abusive, but if he's, you know, and when I was walking to the table, I said, I'm going to have to take some crow on this one. And I did. And I just moved on. So I didn't, there was nothing I could say rule-based that was going to make any sense. So why, like our signer always says, your silence cannot be misinterpreted. So I just took my head up and down, and yeah, Coach, you may be right, and just walked on.
I mean, that's such a good barometer for communication. And we've had a few veteran officials come in and give the exact same advice. It's great advice. Hey, Coach, I saw it differently. Is probably not that helpful. Hey, Coach, we got to protect the shooter's landing zone.
That's helpful.
Helpful, effective. And as an official, almost regardless of sport, is what we keep hearing over and over again. That's one, why you need to master the rule book. And then two, if you can't reference the rule book,
say nothing.
It's maybe less is more. Yeah.
Say nothing. And like, Emanuel, I don't know what your feelings on this, but like, I know I have one of those in a game. Like if I say, Coach, I had moments like that. I'm like, Coach, yeah, that's my bad. But just got to remember, you can't follow up again with something else. It's my bad, or else now you're going to lose all credibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it goes. I've been refereeing so many years. A lot of coaches know me. They know me, and they understand. You know that's the great thing about refereeing so many years. The coaches know me, but that doesn't give me a license not to be
do your best.
To do my best in behalf of the correct, what we call the correct call. And when we kick a call, we just got to say, Coach, you know what? I'm not running that back through my head. You're probably right. And they respect them more and say, no, Coach, he's absolutely was a block. He wasn't there. When they go look at it on film, they're like, this dude is crazy. The guy was standing there. When I made the call, I knew I was wrong. When I was walking to the table, I'm like, that was a horrible call. But I'm still walking, head up, right 33, blah. And I just walked right back to the coach. I just backed up right back to the coach and let him just give it to me. And that's what,
give him the opportunity.
I'm human. And just like they are, you know, I always tell the players, you guys don't make every shot. We're probably not going to make every call. Hey. So it's just when we give you our explanation, we just got to move on. We just got to get on to the next play.
I love that. I mean, a rallying cry in officiating right now is we're human. We make mistakes. Hey, we're human. But if we want to be perceived as human, we need to give that back. Yeah, we need to give it back, and we need to allow the coaches and the players to be human too. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't want to. We're getting close to time. There's a question that we really like to ask veteran officials, and it's, hey, you've got a first year referee who's maybe eaten a crow a few too many times. His confidence is low, a little bit shaken. They've had the experience of coming out, realizing this is a lot more difficult than they thought it was going to be. And, maybe had a few games where things got out of hand, had some abuse piled on them, and they're having the moment of like, why am I doing this? What would you say to that official?
Well, I love working with new officials. Why? Because they want to learn. They want to get better. And what I tell them at pregame is that, hey, call what you see. Don't make anything up. Just call the obvious. Right now, just worry about getting the obvious. All the other stuff will come with repetition, with more games, but get the obvious. Get the obvious. If you play the game, that will all come too. But I also tell them that, say, hey, don't let other veteran officials help create bad habits. Because a lot of veteran officials, especially in lower levels, they don't want to do a pregame, want to show up right at the time of game. And I always say, hey, when I was a younger official, if the veteran official did not want to do a pregame, I said, can we just do a short pregame? That's why we're on the same page. That way we know what we're going to be calling or how we're going to be switching, if that type of thing. But I just tell a veteran official, newer officials, I said, hey, get a copy of this game. I'll see if I can get a copy of it. I can send it to you. The best way you're going to learn is watch yourself on video. So we have, and here in California, all the high schools got video. So you can go on National High School Federation. It costs about $13 a month, but every school records their game. Lower level, all the way up to varsity. Junior college, everybody records the game. I said, that's the best lesson and teacher is watching you ref a game. Every call you make, do three things. One, was it a right call? Two, was I in position to make the right call? And three, how did I report that call as I came to the table?
Mechanics.
That's the key thing. During the year, I get in the mirror darn near every day because I want to have my presentation. When I go to the table, I want to have my hands at a certain height. I want my voice projection. I want to have a cadence to my calls. White, 32, hit, baseline. That's my cadence. Always, basically, I don't want to rush through it. White, 32, hit, baseline, or hit, 2, or whatever shots we're doing. So everything's a cadence. But the only way I can get that cadence is by practice, practice, practice. So I always tell new officials, if you want to go far, you got to practice. You got to be willing to not to take criticism, take constructive feedback. Watch yourself on film because that's when you know, like, oh, I missed out. Oh, I'm not in the right position. Because when I watch video, I'm like, ooh, I got stacked on that play. Okay, can I move down to get a better look? Or can I move out to get a better look? So when I tell new officials, just don't be afraid to watch yourself on film because that's going to be your best teacher. Because black and white or color photo or color video is not going to lie to you. I can lie to you. Oh, you did a wonderful job.
But tape, though.
The tape don't lie. So that was my biggest thing. It says two things: the mechanics and watch yourself on video and rules. But perception, and I always tell guys, try to make sure your uniform fits. I'm a stickler on how my uniform fits, how it looks. I don't want it. I wear a size smaller so it fits tighter because when I take off my jacket, I want people to see an athlete. I want spectators in the stands to see an athlete, not somebody who just here to ref a game, who may have a little bit of a pot belly or beer belly. I always tell people this is for you. The kids stay 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I get older every single year. They'll bring a new set of 14, 15, 16 up in year 17-year-olds, but I'll get older. Next year, I'll be 1 year older. But that's why I'm in the gym all the time. That's why I'm always at running or doing some form of cardio to keep my body in shape, because this is my only asset if I want to continue roughing at a high level, is to keep my body in shape. So that's why I tell young athletes, young officials, do not forget to watch yourself on film, get into the rule book, take constructive feedback.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Like, it's funny. Like, this, you've summed up almost all the things we've heard all the top officials say. Like, there is nothing.
Well, it's really, and it's the mission of our company.
It is the mission of our company.
Is to make getting referees real feedback easy
and interesting.
Because we believe the secret to getting better is getting
good feedback, objective, real feedback. Yeah. And that's our mission.
Yeah. Mic'd up is a component of that. We see that as a gap that referees have a hard time getting is the communication piece, because you don't get that from a sideline video with the NFHS or Huddle or whoever might be VO or whoever's recording it. But I love it. I think, as always, I walked away from this like,
I had no idea what to expect coming in here. I was excited to speak to you because I've talked to you many times, Emanuel, but this was more insightful. Not more insightful. It's always enjoyable.
Yeah.
All these episodes.
And I think we've got some stuff coming down the pipeline that we'd be excited to talk to you about that, really relates to the last couple minutes that I think we definitely appreciate getting your perspective on and feedback on. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess that's signing off. I don't know. Oh, yeah.
Just to think, if there's a feedback, well, a lot of your icons, when you say select level, you have everything up. I don't know what you guys go by you in Canada.
Oh, yeah.
But I was like, okay, but you don't have anything for college. And so I don't know what college is in your area. Is it senior?
I think because we initially came out with the product, it wasn't for college, it's for like the not recreation, but that kind of like developmental league. So actually we should be able to get a tile in there for.
Yeah, there's a drop down at the collegiate level. There was in the prototype.
That feedback though,
that's great feedback.
That's great feedback, because we'll make sure that's in there to get that right away.
Yeah. Also, those of you thinking about Mic'd Up, it's great company. I say, everybody, your communication, you don't know how you communicate until you listen to yourself. Mic'd Up will show you how you communicate with coaches, players, and fans.
We did not pay him to say that, y'all. We did not.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emanuel.